Hey, what's going on, guys? What's going on? I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I want to say welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon. And I hope you guys are doing well. And Happy New Year, if I haven't said Happy New Year to you yet. As you know, last night we spent time talking about Buffalo Bills Damar Hamlin. And Damar Hamlin, in case you don't know, he passed out on the football field and he had to be resuscitated. They had to give him CPR. CPR is typically what they do when your heart has stopped or you have become unconscious. So Damar, my heart goes out to him. My prayers go up for his family. Of course, all of us, are feeling bad for him. And I wanted to kind of talk about some of the stuff that I know the media isn't going to really talk about with this Damar Hamlin thing. I think that every situation is God's window into the possibility for knowledge and the possibility of understanding things on a deeper level. And I'd like to know, first off, I'd be curious to know. First, let's start with the big kahuna, the big elephant in the room. I'm not going to say the V word. I'm not going to say the V word because I ain't trying to get banned off YouTube. But and I'm not trying to jump into that space of being a quote unquote conspiracy theorist. But how many of y'all feel like the V? Don't put it in the chat, please, because I don't need them targeting our stuff. The vacation. Let's call it the vacation. How many of y'all feel that the vacation played a part in what happened with Damar Hamlin? Give me a yes or no. I mean, I know that people may not want to talk about it. I know that people may want to say, "Oh, no, you're just being a right winger and all that." You ain't got to be a right winger. I know a lot of people who are not right wing at all who would not go on the vacation, if you know what I mean, who didn't want to get that thing in their arm. How many of you feel like it could be connected? I'm not trying to say that this is right or wrong. I'm just asking because I'm hearing this a lot, right? I'm hearing a lot of people talk about Damar Hamlin and this idea of a 24-year-old having a heart attack, right? Now, let me say that again, 24-year-old having a heart attack. Let me say it again, 24-year-old having a heart attack. And does anybody remember the Surgeon General of Florida? Now, a lot of us are trained not to listen to him because he was a Republican, but the Surgeon General of Florida, and maybe it was political, I don't know. What was his name? His name was, let me see if he's still in office, and I'll recognize his name. Uh, yeah, Joseph A. Lapato, MD, PhD. He actually said that men between the ages of 18 and 38 should not go on the vacation. He said men between the ages of 18 and 38 could be vulnerable to potential heart issues if if this thing goes wrong. Let me look up this guy. Maybe this guy's a quack for all I know. Again, a lot of people won't listen just because he's a Republican or because somebody's a Democrat. I don't get into any of that. I'm going to listen to anybody who sounds like they might be right. And so let me see, Joseph Lapato. Let me look at his bio. I'd like to know where he got his degrees and credentials and all that. I know he's a Surgeon General for Florida. Well, that's all I know about him. He was born in 1978. He's an American physician. He attracted attention for spreading misinformation on the virus. Okay. He immigrated to the U.S. from Nigeria. He got a PhD and MD from Harvard University, and he served as a professor of medicine at NYU before being tenured at UCLA. So give me a yes or no. Based on what I read to you about this doctor, this Surgeon General for Florida, who's been labeled as spreading misinformation, who's being, who I guess during the pandemic they called him a quack, who got his. Pay attention. I'm gonna read this again. Give me a yes or no if y'all think he's qualified. Give me a yes if this sounds like somebody who's qualified. He got an MD and a PhD in health policy from Harvard University. Now, does Harvard just give away quack degrees? I don't know. Can y'all tell me, is Harvard a quack school? Is Harvard known for producing quacks? Or do you think he might be qualified? Give me a yes in the chat if you think this guy might be qualified to have at least an opinion worth listening to. He was a professor of medicine at NYU. He got tenure at UCLA. This is deep. This is deep to me because it's extraordinary how people who are really solidly credentialed, extremely qualified, are being sort of squashed out by propaganda and politics. It's like because you don't say what we want you to say, everything you've done, including going to Harvard and being on the faculty at NYU and getting tenure at UCLA, none of that is valid now because now you're spreading misinformation. Maybe you're just spreading alternative information that people might want to listen to and people might want to hear. I don't know about you, but I'm going to listen to them. Another person I'm going to listen to that a lot of black folks don't want to listen to anymore is people like Dr. Ben Carson. Ben Carson, I don't vote Republican. I never have. But Ben Carson, if you look at his credentials, Ben Carson was one of the best surgeons on the planet. And it's only propaganda and simple-minded thinking that will lead us to say that he's garbage and he's unqualified because he's in a different political party than you. Don't get caught up in that stuff, because neither one of these parties cares about you. Give me a yes if you can at least hear what I'm saying. I'm not saying you got to agree. Just give me a yes if we can share perspectives where we disagree and we can still look for common ground. So let me tell you a little bit about what got me with Damar. Do me a favor, everybody, if you haven't done it yet, could you please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. You're watching drboystv.com, the home for intelligent black people. Our goal is to think. And I decided to take time to do a podcast on Damar Hamlin, again, to follow up. Yesterday, Jeff Lightsy Jr. and I, Jeff Lightsy's with Ball Sports, we talked about this for a couple hours last night. I decided to follow up just to sort of dig deeper into some of the thoughts I've been having about football. And this is important for black people because a lot of black wealth, trillions of dollars in black wealth, is stolen by professional sports. Trillions of dollars in black wealth is stolen by professional sports. Now, what we what we see is we see these young black men that get to the NFL, the NBA, and they become millionaires, and we think that they're bringing money into the black community, right? That's the typical narrative. But that's a false narrative, because for every one black boy who goes to the NFL and makes, gets that, $2, $3, $4 million contract, there's literally about 1,000 more who tried, who dedicated everything to getting it, who got nothing, right? Who literally, bet it all and lost it all. They don't have, a lot of these guys, unfortunately, they don't have any other they don't have a plan B. They don't have any other marketable skills. They don't have any other ability to make money. If they imagine that they took all that energy that they put into football practice and put that into learning how to start businesses, black men would be the greatest business owners on the planet. Imagine if they took that time and put it into buying stock and investing in real estate and learning how to be successful husbands and fathers. We would have a much better community. So professional sports is not a win for the black man. It really, it doesn't mean I hate sports. I like sports. Sports were fun, but sports is not, it just doesn't win. Even the people that think that they win have actually lost. It's what they call the winner's curse. There's a term for that in economics. They call that the winner's curse, where you think you won, but really you lost. You think you got the prize, but really you got the booby prize. So let me give you a couple little things that you should know as you're, when your sons get recruited to play local football or playing the Pee Wee leagues and all that. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I just want you to be fully informed as you make those decisions. How many of you, give me a yes or no if you knew that NFL players have a much shorter lifespan than the general population? Anybody know that? Anybody know? How many of y'all knew the NFL players die younger than everybody else? And I'm not talking about a couple months younger, and I'm not talking about a couple of years. I'm talking about significantly younger. Did you know that? The average lifespan in America is 77 years old. That's how long the average American lives, 77 years. For men, it's a little bit lower. For black men, it's lowest, maybe about 72 years. The average lifespan of an NFL player is 59 years old. The average NFL player dies about 15 to 16 years earlier than the average American citizen. Did y'all know that? How many of you are hearing what I'm saying? Are you hearing what I'm saying? So if your son plays football and he achieves his dream of becoming an NFL athlete, he's going to probably die a couple of decades younger than other players. Now, there are some guys I know who played in the NFL. I know a lot of guys who played in the NFL. Curtis Conway, one of my good friends. He played for the Chicago Bears. He's very good. Robert Smith was smart. Robert Smith walked away from the NFL early, and they said, well, why would you stop playing football? This is a great opportunity. Well, Robert Smith could see the long game. Robert Smith said, I don't want to have brain damage and grow old with all these problems, these health problems, and I don't want to sacrifice the last 15, 20 years of my life for, an extra season on the field. Dr. Myron Roll. Dr. Roll sent me a copy of his new book called the 2% way. I have no idea what's in that book. Sorry, Myron. I appreciate you sending me the book, brother, but I didn't read it. But I respect him immensely. He is now a surgeon. I think he's being trained at Harvard. He's super smart, and people did not understand why Myron would he passed up his first couple years in the NFL. He got drafted. He was one of the best college players in the country, and he shocked those people. The white man always thinks the black man's going to come when he says stand up and bark. When the white man expects that when he tells a black man to jump, he says, "Okay, boss, how high? How high?" And so you're supposed, if they invite you to the combine, you're supposed to show up. If they want to give you an NFL contract, you're supposed to want it. Well, Myron said, I don't really want to be in the NFL. I want to go be a Rhodes Scholar. So Myron left the NFL opportunity, went off, became a Rhodes Scholar, and then came back and played football after that and played for the Buccaneers. From what I understand, they did a very good job. And I love that. I love that move. To me, I can relate to that. That's a boss move. That's what I call an intelligent boss move. IBM, that's an IBM. An intelligent boss move is where you're intelligent, you're strategic, and you're courageous in the choices that you make. That was an intelligent boss move. That was what you might even call an alpha move, in the sense that he's shaping his own pathway. He's not doing the beta move of following behind whatever somebody else is doing or what somebody's always telling him to do. He made his own decision, and I respect him immensely for that. So, because not only was he a great athlete, he was also enough of an IBM that he actually is now a great doctor, and he has a great life in front of him because he made the right choices. Let me give you some more facts about being an NFL player. That this relates to what happened with this brother Damar Hamlin, and I'm gonna talk about that. Before I do that, could you do me a favor and please hit the thumbs up button? Make sure you subscribe. Also hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when we go live. And I want to remind everybody that I actually have a new book out called The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. If you go to boycewatkins.com, you can get a copy of the book. It'll be sent to your house. It's all basically laid out in terms of how to get your family on code to build generational wealth. And it's a simple 10-step process that you can implement in terms of 10 rules. And if your family follows these rules, they will build wealth in a significant way. So feel free to go to boycewatkins.com to take a look. Hit the thumbs up button, share, subscribe, and all that stuff. All right. The other thing that you may or may not know about becoming an NFL player is, did you know that, give me a yes or no if you knew this, that NFL players are 3 times more likely to develop Alzheimer's than the general population? Does anybody know that? So if you sign your son up for football and he loves it and he achieves his dream of being an NFL player, he has a much, much higher likelihood, a 300% increase in his likelihood of getting Alzheimer's. Just not to say you shouldn't play football. I'm just saying that you should, make sure you know what you're getting into, right? Because there have been 3,300 lawsuits, 3,300 lawsuits from different families that are basically claiming that they're these guys who achieved their dream of playing in the NFL, which turned into a nightmare, that they are experiencing significant psychological and physical damage as a result of their years on the field. 2,000 former NFL players are suing because they have advanced stage dementia. Now, do you want to know what the symptoms of dementia are? Does anybody know? Give me a guess if you know what dementia is. And here's what it feels like to have dementia when you are in your 30s, 40s, or 50s. Let's see here. Some signs and symptoms of dementia: memory loss, poor judgment, confusion, difficulty speaking, understanding, and expressing thoughts, or reading and writing. Maybe Herschel Walker could be a candidate. Who knows? Wandering and getting lost in a familiar neighborhood. So you're in your neighborhood and you don't even know how to get around. Trouble handling money responsibly and paying bills. Repeating questions. Types of dementia. Let's see here. They got different types of dementia out here. So I'm not going to read all the different types. Some warning signs of dementia. Let's see. There's an infographic here that I found. Let me see if this infographic helps. Memory loss, difficulty performing familiar tasks, problems with language, disorientation to time and place, poor or decreased judgment, problem keeping track of things, misplacing things, changes in mood and behavior, challenges in understanding visual and spatial information, withdrawal from work or social activities. A lot of NFL players are more likely. This is according to scientific studies. There are several studies out here that look at the long-term effects of what happens to these players. There was another guy, another young brother, 38 years old, who just died of a heart attack. I don't know exactly what the situation was with that, but a lot of you have brought that up in terms of what happened with Damar. So he's not the only NFL player to have a heart attack in recent months. They're 4 times more likely to develop ALS. They are far more likely to have depression and also far more likely to develop arthritis. So it doesn't mean that you should not play football or that you're a sucker for enjoying football. Because if you're a sucker, then that makes two of us. Because I'm a big fan of football, always have been. I probably will be for the rest of my life because I grew up on it. I just did. I grew up as a Dallas Cowboys fan. So you should pray for me because the Cowboys have been a disappointment for about the last 30 years. Maybe 25 years, I guess. But maybe this year will be different. But they always buckle in the playoffs. But still, I really think that you may want to talk to your sons and at least make sure that they are aware of the consequences of playing football, and also aware that there are a lot of sports that black men can be really good at. Like, I think we can be good at anything. I think we were great at baseball. I heard that my biological father was really good at baseball, and I wish I had known him so he could have taught me how to play, because I would have enjoyed baseball. I would have enjoyed golf. I wish somebody had taught me how to play golf. I think I would have been a great golfer, but I didn't have anybody. I didn't know how to play until I was in college, and so ultimately I would say for parents that have little athletes in your family, that your biggest challenge as black people, one of your biggest challenges is that you have the best athletes in the world. There's nothing like the African-American athlete. And I believe that 400 years of slavery, oppression, Jim Crow, forced breeding, let's keep it 100, where they were breeding slaves and all this other craziness that they won't pay you reparations for, that turned you into super athletes. I grew up as a kid where I rarely ran into a white boy who could outrun me. There was never a white boy who could actually sprint faster than me, and that was my Nigerian blood coming out. I'm 40% Nigerian, Igbo to be specific, and but then I'm like, I got a little British Irish in me, so I think that was a part of me that slowed me down a little bit. But that was a slave master sneaking into the barn. But African Americans have unique athletic abilities, which make us a global trillion-dollar commodity. And I don't understand why on this earth, for the life of me, why we haven't been able to extract the value from our own commodity that's right there in our backyard. I have no idea why we somehow think that we need to connect with what white folks have built in order for us to display our talents. Again, I keep telling you guys, the Buffalo Bills, I think, were bought for about $20,000 or $25,000 or something, and now they're worth billions of dollars. The Green Bay Packers were bought for $100. They're worth several $billion. The Chicago Bears were bought for a couple $100. They're worth about $5 billion. So what can you create now that'll be worth $5 or $10 billion in a couple of generations from now? It doesn't make any sense. So you have all the power, you have all the talent, you have all the resources. Why not use them in a way that benefits more than just a couple of people? Why not have it benefit the whole community instead of you being in a position of subordinated begging, where you're begging them to give you a chance to take 1% ownership in the NFL team? And Jerry Jones is basically, he says, yeah, I know, that I'm a racist, but I'm gonna still spit in your face because you have no power up in here. So you're bowing to Jerry Jones instead of actually walking away from all that and creating something of your own. That's a mindset issue. That's a Stockholm syndrome. That's an economic version of Stockholm syndrome, where if you don't liberate yourself from that, then you'll never have any real economic power in this country. But with that said, the other point on this is the other question is, when you look at all this energy we put into sports and how good we are at sports, imagine if we got black boys to put that same amount of energy into starting businesses early, investing early, learning real estate early, or just education, period. I think that black people should educate our own children. This is one of our core beliefs in the Black Business School. We built this on our own. I don't care what the rumors and the myths are and the whatever people spread rumors or whatever when they get jealous or whatever. It doesn't matter. I don't care. I don't pay attention to Negro naysayers. But we did this on our own. We are 100% black owned. And we've actually introduced investing to 10 million people in our own community. And so imagine if, so our core values are very simple. The core values are, we believe black people should educate our own children because the school system ruins our kids and gets them distracted and gets them focused on stuff other than helping the community and focus on things other than what they're actually supposed to be good at. We believe that black people should create our own jobs. because you spend so much time and energy working for other people that you never have time to really work for yourselves. And then also we should support Black-owned businesses, because Black-owned businesses get boycotted by everybody. They get boycotted by white people, and they get boycotted by most Black people. If we support our own businesses, we have enough money in our community to do whatever we want to do. 1.6 trillion in spending power that you have exceeds the gross domestic product of over 90% of the countries on this earth. In fact, if I were to look up in Google right now, countries ranked by GDP, I love to do this because this really reminds you of just how much economic power you actually have that you just forgot. Remember, 1.6 trillion is the amount of money we give away every year. I'm going to give you a list of countries that have a GDP that's less than 1.6 trillion. So your 1.6 trillion in spending power ties you with Canada. Black people have enough income that literally we tie with Canada, the Canadian GDP. Canada is the 10th wealthiest or 10th highest income country on this planet in terms of GDP. We tie with Canada. So if we were a country by ourselves, we would be in the top 10 on earth in terms of income. Next, below Canada, with the countries that we beat, the countries that we have more money than, Russia, South Korea. We have more than Australia. We have more than Spain, Mexico, Indonesia, Turkey, the Netherlands, Saudi Arabia, Switzerland, Argentina, Sweden, Poland, Belgium, Thailand, Iran, Austria, Norway, United Arab Emirates. So all those guys that come from the Middle East that have the stuff on their heads and everything that seem to have all this money, the ones that we look up to, we're actually looking up to midgets, because they actually have only 383 billion in their GDP, which is about 1/4, a little bit. That's approximately a little bit less than 1/4 of what Black spending power has. So we're richer than they are. We have the Black spending power exceeds the GDP of Nigeria, Israel, South Africa, Hong Kong, Ireland, Denmark, Singapore, Malaysia, Colombia, the Philippines, Pakistan, Chile, Finland, Bangladesh, Egypt, Vietnam, Portugal, the Czech Republic, Romania, Peru, New Zealand, Greece, Iraq, Algeria, Qatar, Kazakhstan, Hungary, Angola. I could keep going. How about I keep going? Kuwait, Sudan, Ukraine, Morocco, Ecuador, Cuba, Slovakia, Sri Lanka, Ethiopia, Kenya, Dominican Republic, Guatemala, Oman, Myanmar, Luxembourg, Panama, Ghana, Bulgaria, Costa Rica, Uruguay, Croatia. That's how much spending power you have. That's how much money Black people have. Stop letting people tell you that you're poor. You're not poor. You're very, very rich. You're very rich. And what you're lacking is um, the mindset of let's go back to that term IBM, intelligent boss moves. That was something I came up with when I was working with Dame Dash back in the day. I said, let's call it, we did a little thing where we did a bunch of lectures together, because he came with his perspective from building Rockefeller and everything else. And I like Dame. Dame has a different personality from me, but I liked working with him. And I came in with the sort of scientific breakdown of what he was actually saying. And me working with Dame actually came from a call I remember getting from Charlemagne the God, when Charlemagne reached out because Dame had gone on to the Breakfast Club. I don't know if anybody remembers that interview he did where he was kind of trying to encourage men to become bosses. And he was saying that calling another man boss is like calling him daddy. And Charlemagne was real concerned about it because he felt like it was job shaming, or it's going to make people feel embarrassed to like have a job. And I said, well, what Dame, I said, I'm not going to contradict what Dame said. I'll come on and I'll talk about it and I'll put it into context, but I'm not going to contradict what he said, because I think that we need to be challenged to man up a little bit and sort of realize that we're sort of bowing to people who don't have what we have. Like, you got all the juice, but for some reason you're bowing to people who have zero juice at all, who literally come to your juice stand to get juice on their own. I said, but at the same time, we got to talk about it in a way that actually makes sense, so we can add it up in terms of strategy, what that actually looks like. So go back to that term, intelligent boss move. So that was what I created with Dame, and I pitched, I laid this out for him, and he liked it. And I said, because the three words mean something. I said, to be successful in this country, in a competitive society, you have to have those three things. You've got to have intelligence. You can't be stupid. So you can't have a culture that's anti-intellectual. If you have a culture that devalues intellectualism and only values ignorance, then you're going to have an ignorant culture, and ignorant people are going to be the ones leading your community, which is going to put you in a bunch of ignorant positions. Also, the B stands for boss. Boss means basically having the courage to carve your own path. right? Not feeling like you got to fit in, not feeling like you got to go along with the trends, go along with the fad, or do what everybody else is doing. To me, a boss is a person that can go say, you know what, I need to go in this direction. And because that's what I concluded on my own. That's between me and God. Me and God told me I got to go in this direction. And that's the direction I'm going to go. And then moves means that once you figure it all out, once you understand what's going on, you have the intelligence, and also you have the courage, you got to make a move. You got to get something done. You can't just sit still. So ultimately, if you go back to this, that's what really I think is part of the secret sauce that we're missing, right? You've got the money, you've got all the money that you need, but the question is, can you be an IBM? Are you able to make intelligent boss moves in your family that are going to allow your children to bust out of all this nonsense? Are they able, like a rocket, to have enough determination, strength, and trajectory to actually take themselves out of orbit? Meaning that when you think about a rocket, when a rocket launches, gravity's pulling that rocket to the ground. The rocket's fighting against a couple of forces. One, it's fighting against gravity, which wants to pull it down, right? So if the rocket doesn't know which way it wants to go, then the rocket's going to wiggle, and then eventually it's going to fall back to the earth. Second thing the rocket's fighting against is that it's full of energy, which means that if the energy isn't contained and targeted properly, the rocket will explode. When NASA first started creating rockets, half of the rockets that they created actually blew up before they actually got off the ground. So the energy can't just be random, wild, crazy, emotional energy. It has to be targeted toward a specific objective. So if you build a rocket properly and you target it, you tell it exactly where it's going to go, and you put enough energy and power in it, and you're not scared to use it, but you contain it and control it in a disciplined way, then that rocket can actually go up into the stratosphere and leave the Earth's orbit, right? So ultimately, I think that's what when I think about the intelligent boss moves ideology, that's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking that if I'm smart, and then in addition to being smart, I'm not an intelligent coward. I'm very brave. I'm not afraid to follow behind my ideas, and then also I'm not scared to make a move. Then I'm like that rocket. Boom! You're not gonna stop me. I have a lot of energy. I'm not scared to use it. I know exactly where I'm going. You ain't gonna stop me. You're gonna need something a whole lot more than an atmosphere to slow me down. And to me, when I think of the atmosphere, I'm thinking about all the negatory that exists in the community. I'm thinking about all the ignorance that exists. I'm talking about all the stuff where you're watching stuff on TV, reality shows, or you're looking at stuff on the internet, or you're seeing stuff in hip hop videos where you're like, that is not the culture I want to be a part of. That's not a good culture. That's a death culture. That's why all the rappers get killed every single week. That's why people are, going through all kinds of terrible situations, getting locked up. That whole situation with Tory Lanez and Megan Thee Stallion, just ghetto as hell. You drunk at a Kardashian party, and he's shooting her in her foot. And like, why are you dating a thug? Why are you shooting your girlfriend? Where's your daddy at? What makes y'all think this is a successful life? This is not a successful life. You getting shot at and you going to jail. Both of y'all are in a bad situation. This is not a healthy existence. So really, I think overall, when I think about sports, I think about the fact that we have so much ability in that area and so much opportunity there, that if you had, sure, you're gonna still have your LeBrons, you're still gonna have your Jordans and your great athletes that are gonna come out of the Black community. We're always gonna be the best on earth at sports, at least for a very long time. But you also need to have your Black Jerry Joneses, who want to own the league, or who want to start the sports teams. You got to have your Black business owners. You got to have your Black Mark Cubans who say, I'm going to be a billionaire, but it won't be because I ever dribbled a basketball or threw a football. It's going to be because I built a business and I created an empire, and I employ 5,000 people that all work for my company. Where's the Black Elon Musk? Where's the Black Mark Zuckerberg? Where are the Black people that are developing the industrial infrastructure necessary for us to have true economic power? I believe that some of those individuals are distracted by either sports or thug life, right? Thug life, ignorant life, whatever, right? So, so some of your smartest, most capable Black men, who your greatest leaders, are in prison, and some of them are just showing their greatness on the football field, but not showing it in any other area of life. And so when I look at Damar Hamlin and that thing that happened to him, I'm gonna tell you like this. I'm gonna be honest with you. Let's go back to what you guys were saying earlier. Actually, before we go back to that, do me a favor. Could you please hit the thumbs up button? Thumbs up, subscribe. Make sure you hit the notification bell, and that really helps the platform a lot. I'd appreciate that very much. So with Damar Hamlin, I'll go back to the first point people were making. Some people were saying that it could be connected to whether or not he got that vacation, he got that jab. I don't know. I'm not going to assume one way or the other. I think that's up to you to speculate on. But here's what I will say, and I have not said this publicly before, but I'm about to say it right now. I have a person that is very, very close to me who is very apolitical. He's not a guy that wants to ruffle feathers. He's not a guy who is out trying to be a right winger or left winger. He's just living his life, taking care of his family. So he went and got one of those shots. He was about 38 years old, right in that warning range that the Florida Surgeon General warned about, where he said men in this age range are susceptible to heart conditions, heart issues as a result of getting, that shot. And he had to get 2 doses. He got the first one. He had to get rushed to the hospital for heart issues. And I asked him, I said, so what happened? Like what, and he's not a person that scares easily. He's not controversial. All I know is that something happened with his heart. And I also know that when I asked him, I said, are you going to go back and get the second one? He said, hell no. Right. And you can take it for what you want. People maybe can assume that I'm spreading misinformation or whatever. I don't care. I personally think that you should be ashamed of yourself if you were participating in any of the suppression of ideas that needs to happen in a critical time like this. People need to be in a position where they can make their own decisions. And that was not what we saw during the pandemic. And it was proven that a lot of the things that they were telling people was absolutely dead wrong. When you think about this kind of thing, I mean, again, this Florida Surgeon General, this guy, Dr. Joseph Ladapo, let me tell you, this is how deep the propaganda goes. They literally, in the first page of his Wikipedia, it says he's an American physician who's the Surgeon General of Florida. He has attracted attention and promoting hesitancy when it comes to the jab. I'm not going to say the V word, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Like literally, that's the first thing that they say. And then in the second paragraph, though, so you're thinking, okay, maybe this is some quack. This is some guy who got his degree from some online weekend university or something, right? I understand that. I got a PhD at The Ohio State University. My wife went to Florida State. We understand the difference between people that went through tough programs versus people that just kind of got an honorary degree or something, right? So I'm like, okay, what are his credentials? This guy got a PhD and a medical degree from Harvard. Is anybody else disturbed about this, or is it just me? That they can literally take a guy who got a PhD, MD from Harvard, and people who are not nearly as qualified as him can say, oh, well, don't listen to him. He's a quack. He's spreading misinformation. Did you prove it? Where's your proof? Did you prove that he went to Harvard? He was on the faculty at NYU. He made tenure at UCLA. And you're still telling me, like, do you understand that when you're trying to discredit all your political enemies, you're also discrediting your own institutions? You do understand that. Like if I say, well, oh, Harvard ain't nothing. Harvard's full of Harvard. They only give doctorates to people who are spreading misinformation. Well, now you're basically making me say, okay, well, Harvard must not be a very good school. But we know that that's not true. That's how far they're going with this. And it bothers me a lot. I just really wish people were allowed to explore all the ideas without being labeled. Stop labeling people, as conspiracy theorists or whatever, just because they're open to trying to understand what's really going on. And that's what me and my wife did the whole pandemic. All we did was we were trying to understand what's really going on. What's the real truth? Because I don't trust none of these people. You hear the right wing stuff. Some of it sounds crazy. You hear the far left stuff, and it's like, good Lord, man, like stop it. And so I say we the country should be divided. I think you got to take the extremists, let them all go fight it out in the street, and then the regular people, I think, should sit at home and get information from every valid source that you can find. Because I still have not had them explain to me how a 24-year-old kid just drops from a heart attack on the football field. I'm not saying it's related to that. I'm just saying I'd like to know what happened. How did that happen? Am I crazy for asking that question? I don't know. All right, guys, I'm gonna get out of here. Thank you all for listening. It was fun talking to you. Don't forget my book is out. It's the 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. If you'd like to take a look, feel free to go to boycewatkins.com. And also I'm doing a tour with on the book where I'm going to do a deep dive training in several different cities, and I'll let you guys know when that's going to happen. Also, if you want to teach wealth to your kids, we have some really great financial flashcards for children that you can take a look at financialflashcards.com. And also we have financial workbooks for children that you can also take a look at. We cover all the different grade bands. We actually got together with some Black experts to create flashcards and workbooks to help you teach your kids economics at an early age. The workbooks are at financialworkbooks.com. So financialflashcards.com, financialworkbooks.com. The sister says, come to Philly. I will be in Philly. Philly was one of my favorite cities, so I definitely am coming to Philly. But I'm only going to 7 cities this year because traveling is just takes a lot of time. All right, guys. So have a good day. God bless you, and I'll see you soon. Take care now. Peace.